Maria knelt before the small wooden crucifix on her bedroom wall, her tears falling like rain onto the floorboards. Her husband had left, her son was lost in addiction, and her heart felt hollow, like a church without light. "Lord, I have nothing left," she whispered, clutching her rosary with trembling fingers. "If you can still hear me, please help me." That night she couldn't sleep. The house was silent, but inside her soul, a storm raged. She felt unworthy, abandoned, forgotten. Yet, deep within that silence she sensed a soft whisper, not in her ears but in her heart. "Be still and know that I am God." It was faint, but it was enough to make her hold the rosary tighter. For the first time in weeks she prayed, "Hail Mary, full of grace," and something inside her began to stir. Years before, Maria had been a joyful woman, a mother, a catechist, a singer in her parish choir. Her laughter had filled her home like sunlight through stained glass. But after her husband lost his job and slowly turned to alcohol, everything began to crumble. Their marriage fractured under the weight of anger and shame. Her son drifted away and her prayers, once confident, began to feel empty. She stopped going to Mass for a while, believing that maybe God had stopped listening. One afternoon she visited the church again, only because she couldn't think of anywhere else to go. The candles flickered before the tabernacle, and the scent of incense still lingered. An old woman in the corner was praying the rosary softly. The rhythmic murmuring of the beads brought Maria to tears. She sat down and wept, not because she knew what to say but because she finally stopped pretending she didn't need help. That day Maria began praying 1 decade of the rosary. Then 2. Then soon the full 5 decades. She prayed for her husband's conversion, for her son's healing, for her own strength to forgive. Some days she prayed through clenched teeth, through tears, through silence. "Mother Mary," she would say, "you watched your son suffer on the cross. Please teach me how to suffer with love." The months went by and nothing seemed to change, at least not on the outside. Her husband still drank. Her son still didn't come home. But inside Maria's heart, something miraculous was happening. Peace was returning. It was the kind of peace that didn't depend on circumstances but on trust. She would wake up early before sunrise, light a small candle before her statue of the Blessed Mother, and whisper, "Jesus, I trust in you." Those words became her breath, her anchor, her survival. Then one night in October, the month of the Holy Rosary, everything shifted. Her son David came home. His clothes were torn and his eyes hollow from exhaustion. He fell to his knees before her and cried, "Mom, I can't do this anymore. I need help." Maria froze for a moment. Then she knelt beside him, placed the rosary in his hand, and said through her tears, "We'll pray together." For the first time in years, mother and son prayed side by side. Every Hail Mary felt like a heartbeat of hope returning. Weeks later, David entered a rehabilitation program through the help of a parish priest. Her husband, seeing the change in his family, began attending daily Mass again. It wasn't instant. It was grace unfolding slowly like dawn. One by one, the pieces of Maria's broken family were being restored. One evening after Mass, the priest approached Maria and said, "You have the peace of a saint." She smiled shyly, shaking her head. "Oh, Father," she said softly, "I'm not a saint. I just hold on to Mother Mary's hand so I don't fall." But deep in her heart, she knew, sanctity wasn't about perfection. It was about perseverance. A few years later, Maria began leading a women's rosary group in her parish. She would tell them, "The rosary saved my family. It saved me." She taught them to pray not only for miracles but for faith, the faith to wait, to trust, to love when love feels impossible. "Mother Mary never abandons her children," she would say. "Even when the world turns dark, her light will guide you to her Son." When Maria passed away years later, she was holding her rosary. Her parish priest said she died with a smile, as though she had seen heaven opening before her. On her tombstone, her family engraved the words she had often whispered, Behold the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done unto me according to your word. Her story began in despair, but it ended in peace. The peace of someone who surrendered everything to God and trusted completely in His mercy. To this day, the women from her parish still tell her story. They speak of her faith, her gentleness, and her quiet strength. They say she taught them how to love like Mother Mary, with humility, patience, and unwavering trust. Some even say that when they pray the rosary at her grave, they feel an unexplainable warmth, as if heaven itself leans a little closer to listen. Maria's life reminds us that sainthood doesn't come from extraordinary deeds, but from extraordinary love. It begins with one small yes, the kind Mother Mary gave at the Annunciation, the same yes Maria gave in her darkest hour. So, if you ever feel forgotten, if your prayers seem unanswered, take up your rosary. Whisper a single Hail Mary. She will come to you, the gentle mother who never turns away from her children. Because when a woman prays the rosary with faith, heaven always listens.